Chamber do now adjourn. I call the member for Braddon.
Well, thank you, Deputy Speaker. Australia's leading shipping and stevedoring company, DP World, last week announced that it had entered into an exclusive agreement with Tasports for a $30 million international container terminal port at the port of Burnie. This is a massive vote of confidence in the Tasmanian economy, with 40 new local jobs and, more importantly, cheaper freight options for exporters throughout the state. The development will see Panamax-sized container ships servicing Burnie carrying up to the equivalent of 4,250 20-foot containers. I'm not surprised, Madam Deputy Speaker, that this international company has picked Burnie for its next major development. The Tasmanian economy is finally heading in the right direction on many of the most significant indicators. Employment is at record levels. Unemployment, which had an 8 in front of it when the Liberals came to government, is now 6.2%. The national average and our producers, is now 6.2%, the national average, and our producers and manufacturers are poised to take full advantage of the 3 free trade agreements signed by this government. But there are threats to the DP World announcement and threats to the Tasmanian economic recovery. And that threat comes from the Labor Party and others that are trying to scuttle the very reforms that are leading to economic growth for the entire Tasmanian community. Key to ensuring the DP World development proceeds is the passing of the coastal shipping legislation. This legislation is an economic enabler for Tasmania. It creates the conditions that allow private businesses to expand and create jobs throughout the state. Under the coastal shipping amendments, a new international container shipping service out of Burnie would cut freight costs to China by nearly 50%. That means every Tasmanian exporter would potentially save about $1,200 per 20-foot container. At a time when Australia has signed 3 free trade agreements in Asia that will cut tariffs on the very best of our products, produce and services that Tasmania has to offer, it is inconceivable that any political party would make it more difficult for Tasmanian businesses to get those products to market. But there are 3 political parties that are actively opposing this legislation: Labor, the Greens and the Jackie Lambie network. They want the federal government to artificially keep export costs high for all Tasmanian exporters, costing thousands of jobs. And this is tantamount to running a protectionist racket for the MUA workers at the expense of others. It's at the expense of good government and at the expense of economic prosperity for the entire state. They, along with the MUA, seem to forget that Tasmania has no other option but to use shipping. Our goods can't go by rail, they can't go by road, they must be shipped. And under the Labor Party, the Bass Strait has been turned into the most expensive stretches of water in the world, and it's hog-tying our economy. The coastal shipping legislation before the Senate now will work hand in hand with the federal government's $203 million boost to the Tasmanian Freight Equalisation Scheme and the $60 million investment in northern irrigation schemes. Madam Deputy Speaker, Labor has once again shown why it cannot be trusted with the economy. It seems to care more about protecting union jobs while putting others at risk, thousands of others. I call on all crossbench senators to consider the massive benefit of the coastal shipping amendments on the Tasmanian export business and pass this legislation.